how they treat those who cannot benefit them. It is often said that the true measure of a person is not how they behave when everything is going well, or when they are in the company of people who can offer them something in return. It is easy to show kindness when you are being praised. It is easy to show respect when the other person is respected by many. And it is effortless to appear generous when you expect something back. But these situations do not reveal the depth of a person's character. They reveal only the surface, the polished image shaped for approval, for admiration, for gain. If you truly want to understand someone's essence, watch how they treat those who have nothing to offer them. Observe them with someone who cannot help their career. Watch them with a stranger, a beggar, a cleaner, someone who holds no social power or status. Look at how they interact with those from whom they can gain nothing. There is no stage in such moments. There is no applause waiting at the end of the conversation. The smile, if it exists, is either real or unnecessary, and the words spoken carry no strategic advantage. What remains in such moments is the raw material of who they truly are. In every human being there is a spectrum of behavior, but it is within the quiet, invisible interactions, the kind that are not remembered, not rewarded, not documented, that our values become clear. Does the person speak with warmth to the waiter, or do they speak with impatience? Do they acknowledge the presence of the old man holding the door, or do they walk through as if no one else exists? These moments may seem small to the outside world, but they are magnifying lenses for the inner world. Many people speak of compassion, they speak of kindness, they quote wisdom, they post ideas about empathy. But words cost little. The cost of a kind word to someone who offers nothing in return is not in currency. It is in attention, in presence, in humility. It requires the person to set aside their own importance, to recognize that dignity belongs to all beings, not just to the few whom society places high on a ladder. To see someone offer their time to a child, or their patience to a person who is learning slowly, or their genuine respect to a person with no title or wealth. This tells you something that cannot be rehearsed. It tells you that their values are not only spoken, but lived, that their respect is not transactional, that their heart does not weigh the worth of another before deciding how to behave. Why is this important? Because we live in a world where image is cultivated, where it is easy to perform goodness in the spotlight. But performance is not the same as principle. When no advantage exists, when no one is looking, the ego has no role to play. If a person remains kind, respectful, and present even in these moments, that is not performance. That is principle. And so, in the simplicity of a greeting to a cleaner, in the care given to a struggling student, or in the patience shown to someone with no influence, there you will find the deepest truths. These truths do not wear robes or medals. They are quiet, they are small, but they are unmistakable. A strong character does not discriminate in the direction of its respect. It does not require wealth, talent, or power in the other to awaken dignity in itself. It is not reactive to status. It does not calculate kindness based on future rewards. It behaves with honor because that is its nature. To those who are truly wise, every being is a mirror. Every encounter is sacred. And even the unnoticed, the ignored, the forgotten, are treated with the same presence as a king, not because of what they offer, but because of what the observer is. You see, how we treat others is never about them. It is always about us. How they act in moments of discomfort or pressure. It is one thing to appear composed when life is flowing gently like a calm river under a spring sky. When the temperature is right, when the road is smooth, and when everyone agrees with you, it is easy to present yourself as balanced, kind, and controlled. In such moments, your energy does not need to resist anything. Your thoughts are not being challenged. Your emotions are not under fire. But that is not where the truth of your character lies. The truth is uncovered in discomfort, in pressure, in moments when control is lost and certainty disappears. Discomfort strips away performance. It burns through the surface. Whether it comes as pain, fear, exhaustion, or failure, pressure has a unique way of bringing what is hidden to the surface. It does not ask for permission. It simply arrives, and in its presence, the mind begins to react. The question is not whether you will feel the tension. The question is, who do you become when the tension rises? In the face of discomfort, some become defensive. Others become aggressive. Some shut down, others blame, and many look for escape. But the rare few, the ones whose character has been forged through discipline and awareness, they remain steady. They do not pretend the storm isn't real, but they choose not to be swallowed by it. This difference is everything. Pressure reveals how much responsibility a person is willing to take. When the situation turns against them, do they accept it with clarity, or do they project the fault outward? When a plan fails, do they search for lessons or for someone to blame? These moments are simple, yet they carry a deep truth. You cannot fake your way through pressure. You can only fall back on what has been cultivated in you over time. It is not about never becoming angry. It is not about never feeling fear. Emotions will rise. That is natural. But it is about what you allow those emotions to shape in your behavior. Do you lose your dignity when discomfort takes away your convenience? Do you speak with cruelty when the world stops agreeing with you? Do you abandon your values when they become difficult to follow? In training, the body is placed under pressure to test the mind. When the muscles begin to shake, when the lungs begin to burn, when every part of you screams for rest, that is the moment the mind reveals its patterns. Does it become reactive? Does it collapse? Or does it breathe and continue with presence? This principle does not apply only to martial practice. It applies to all of life. In a difficult conversation, do you listen or just wait to respond? In failure, do you grow bitter or deepen your effort? When you are treated unfairly, do you become the very thing you dislike? Or do you remain grounded in what is right? All of this is pressure. All of this is discomfort. And every response you give becomes part of the structure you are building within yourself. Those who only act with integrity when it is easy are not yet rooted. It is in the challenge that your values must become more than words. Discipline, patience, compassion. These are not meant only for peaceful hours. They are meant to be practiced when nothing around you encourages them. That is when they become real. That is when they stop being ideas and start becoming your foundation. Character is not revealed in the smile during celebration, but in the silence during loss. It is not seen in the calm of good fortune, but in the restraint during provocation. When life becomes uncomfortable, what is fake quickly dissolves. What remains is real. And if what remains is steady, respectful, and principled, even when everything feels against it, that is character, not reaction. It is what has been built quietly through effort and awareness long before the moment of pressure arrived. Behavior in the absence of witnesses. There is a distinct difference between reputation and character. Reputation is what people think of you. It is shaped by what is seen, heard, or shared. It is an image, a reflection cast by your behavior when others are watching. But character is something else. Character is what remains when no eyes are upon you. It is what you do when there is no audience, no praise, no punishment, and no one to impress. There, in the quiet moments of solitude, that your true self rises to the surface. When people know they are being observed, their actions often shift. A person may speak politely because they are in a formal setting. They may offer help because they wish to be seen as generous. They may act patient not because they are, but because it looks admirable to do so. This is not hypocrisy in every case. It is simply the nature of human beings to respond to the social mirror. Yet, this very instinct makes it all the more important to ask who are you when that mirror is taken away. In the absence of witnesses, there is no performance. The motivation to impress falls away. There is no applause to seek, no judgment to avoid. What you choose to do or not do in those private spaces, these choices define your internal structure. Whether you follow through with your word when no one will check, whether you clean up after yourself when no one will notice, whether you speak kindly about someone who is not present to hear it. These are small acts, invisible to the world, but deeply revealing. Consider the person who is punctual only when the boss is watching, but careless when alone, or the one who speaks of integrity in public, but bends the truth in private for small advantages. Such gaps between outer and inner behavior indicate that the actions are not rooted in principles. They are tied to conditions. When conditions change, so does behavior. But when someone acts with consistency regardless of attention, it shows that their choices arise from within, not from the desire to be seen. Training the body without supervision reveals this same truth. When there is no teacher present, do you cut corners? Or do you maintain the form, the breath, the awareness as if someone were observing you? This is how self-discipline is tested. True discipline is not driven by external pressure. It is maintained through inner clarity. That clarity grows when the mind no longer depends on approval, but on alignment with one's own values. The absence of witnesses is also where temptation speaks the loudest. When there is no consequence, when it seems easy to take more than what is fair, or act in a way that benefits only yourself, what guides your decision? Do you choose the easy path or the honest one? This is not about guilt or fear. It is about alignment. When your internal compass is strong, you do not need someone to remind you of what is right. You act out of understanding, not out of fear of being caught. Some people believe that what happens in private does not matter, that as long as their public image is clean, their private moments can be whatever they wish. But this is not how reality works. Every private action shapes your inner structure. Every decision made in secret either strengthens or weakens your alignment. If your words do not match your actions when unseen, your spirit knows. And it is that silent knowing that becomes the foundation of either peace or restlessness. Just as a tree's roots are invisible but determine its strength, your private behavior forms the unseen structure of your life. A tree without deep roots may look fine in calm weather, but when the storm arrives, it falls. Likewise, a person whose actions change with the presence or absence of others may appear stable, but pressure will reveal the truth. Stability, calm, and integrity must be built in silence, without needing an audience. To act with awareness when no one is watching is to live in accordance with principle, not performance. It is a quiet form of strength. It does not need reward. It is guided by something deeper than approval. It is shaped by the understanding that the path you walk when you are alone is still a path, and every step still leads somewhere. Response to power and freedom. There are few forces in life as revealing as power and freedom. Both act as mirrors, not of how someone wants to be seen, but of who they truly are. When a person is without power, it is easy to appear humble. When they are restricted, it is natural to behave with caution. But give someone power, authority over others, control over outcomes, or grant them freedom. space without limits, time without accountability, and the mask begins to fall. Because in the absence of boundaries, people are forced to choose their own. Power does not create corruption, it reveals whether corruption was already there. It is not the position that changes a person, it is the position that gives space for the truth to emerge. When a person gains influence, the way they treat those below them becomes a direct reflection of their inner structure. Do they become more compassionate, more patient, more responsible? Or do they become more self-serving, more arrogant, more distant? This distinction is subtle but essential. In the same way, freedom tests what you value most. Without external rules, without the pressure of supervision, what do you choose to do with your time, your voice, your energy? A person who uses freedom to grow, to serve, to strengthen discipline, this is someone who has developed internal structure. But if freedom becomes an excuse to indulge, to avoid, to harm, or to act carelessly, then it is not freedom that is the problem. It is the absence of guidance within. There are people who behave well only because they are being watched. There are others who are gentle only because they are powerless. And there are those who appear to lead well only because they fear consequences. But take away fear, add freedom, and you will see the truth. The one who remains kind when they could easily dominate, who remains fair when they could manipulate, who remains grounded when they could rise above others. This is someone who is not controlled by the conditions around them, but by the clarity within. When someone is promoted, when they achieve success, or when they are given a role of leadership, these are not just rewards. These are tests. They reveal how much weight a person can carry without dropping their values. Because with power comes temptation, the temptation to control, to be above others, to forget the struggles that once shaped them. And with freedom comes forgetfulness, the forgetting of structure, of discipline, of the small habits that built one's strength. Those who are wise understand that power is not to be used for elevation, but for service. They understand that freedom is not a break from structure, but a deeper call to self-responsibility. If a person, once free, loses all discipline, it shows that discipline was never rooted in understanding. If a person, once powerful, begins to harm others, it shows that kindness was merely conditional. True character does not shift with the arrival of new power or the opening of new space. It remains steady, guided by principle, not privilege. In traditional practice, students are often tested not only through hardship, but through permission. A teacher may say, "Now you are free to do what you wish." This is not a reward. It is an invitation to reveal what has been internalized. Some will rest, some will avoid, some will misuse. But the sincere student continues to train, not because he must, but because he understands the reason for the practice. Freedom, to him, is not the absence of effort. It is the opportunity to choose effort freely. Likewise, the mature individual sees power not as a trophy, but as a responsibility. The more influence one gains, the more attention must be placed on the small details. How you speak, how you listen, how you carry yourself when others imitate your behavior. Because power multiplies your impact. If you are careless, that carelessness ripples outward. If you are arrogant, that arrogance spreads. But if you lead with humility, discipline, and clarity, those qualities become the standard for others to follow. So the next time someone rises in position or gains more space to move freely, watch carefully, not what they say, but how they behave. In those moments, you will not just see their ambition or intelligence, you will see their center. You will see whether their path is shaped by ego or by understanding, by impulse or by wisdom. Because both power and freedom do not change you. They simply allow you to stop pretending. Consistency in small actions. There is a tendency in the modern world to celebrate moments of grandeur. People are drawn to displays of greatness, to speeches that inspire, to single acts of courage or generosity that seem to define a person's worth. But true character is not built in grand moments. It is carved slowly, patiently, and quietly through the repetition of small actions. What you do once may be impressive. What you do consistently reveals who you are. The small things are often overlooked because they are subtle. Waking up early to train when no one else notices. Speaking kindly even when it seems unnecessary. Putting your belongings back in place after each use. Listening fully when someone else speaks even if you are tired. These moments are not dramatic, but they are foundational. They reflect discipline, care, awareness, and humility, all without needing recognition. Many believe that becoming strong, wise, or virtuous is the result of a single choice or one powerful decision. But growth does not arrive in an instant, just as a tree does not become tall in one season. A person does not develop character through isolated effort. It is the consistent, deliberate practice of aligning one's actions with one's principles that creates depth. Every small action is a vote for the person you are becoming. It is easy to act with discipline when you are inspired. It is easy to be kind when you feel good. But what do you choose when the motivation fades? Do you still follow your routine when no reward is given? Do you still keep your word when no one will remember? This is where consistency becomes a mirror. It reflects not how you feel in the moment, but what you have committed to over time. A student may train hard for a few days, hoping for fast improvement, but the path does not respond to bursts of effort. It responds to devotion. One form practiced every day with focus shapes the body and the mind more deeply than 10 forms practiced carelessly once a month. Likewise, one honest conversation each day will build more trust than one dramatic apology after a long absence. Small, consistent actions are what build strength that cannot be shaken. People often wait for big opportunities to prove their character. But the big opportunities are built on the small habits. You do not become honest in a moment of crisis if you have practiced lying in small things. You do not suddenly become calm in chaos if you have allowed yourself to be careless in peace. You do not become generous in loss if you have always clung to what is yours. Each small moment is training. Each small decision is preparation. Consistency also reveals what you truly value. If you say that health is important, but neglect your rest, your food, and your movement every day, the truth lies in your behavior, not your words. If you say you value respect, but interrupt others, ignore small courtesies, or speak without listening, the truth again is found in the small actions. Over time, your daily choices build either alignment or contradiction. A person of strong character does not depend on motivation. They build rhythm. They understand that excellence is not about feeling good. It is about doing what must be done again and again until it becomes natural. Even when no one else is watching, even when progress it feels slow, even when no praise is given, then the commitment to consistency is itself a form of quiet power. In every day, there are dozens of opportunities to practice, not in dramatic fashion, but in the simple way you move, speak, rest, work, and relate to others. If your actions remain aligned over time, the outer world may not notice immediately, but something deep within you begins to settle. Your steps become grounded, your choices become clear, your direction becomes steady, because in every small act, you are shaping the architecture of your life.